So the fallout from the halftime show continues to get a lot of conversation over the last few days, right? We saw the halftime show come in at about $125 million. That was down from Kendrick Lamar last year. But still, I mean, people obviously on both sides are picking and choosing how they want to frame the narrative around the Super Bowl halftime show. And I heard somebody say yesterday that, once again, the blowback against Bad Bunny was because he had brown skin. That is the definition of a false narrative right there. Because when you actually look at who's done the halftime show lately, let's go back. Before there was a guy named Bad Bunny, there was a guy who had much darker skin named Kendrick Lamar the year prior.
I was thinking you had said that right before.
There was a man named Usher the year before that, who also has much darker skin than Bad Bunny. There was a nice young lady named Rihanna the year before that, who also is a darker shade than Bad Bunny. And the year before that was a guy named Snoop Dogg, who also happens to have fairly dark skin. Oh, and before that was The Weeknd, also darker than Bad Bunny. Oh, okay, so it's really not about the skin color here, is it? Okay, so let's cross that one off the list. That's blowing smoke. That's a lie. You have to go back to when this got announced on September the 28th. That is the day that Bad Bunny was announced as the Super Bowl halftime act. And at the time, I remember being like, oh, okay, like I've heard of Bad Bunny. I know he's a global superstar, and he's a big deal. And he does, sing in Spanish. I didn't know that he didn't sing in any English. Like, I didn't know that. I admit that. And I imagine that many of you also didn't realize he didn't sing any English songs. Okay, whatever. I mean, that was kind of strange. It was like, well, this is like a celebration of America in many respects, and the NFL is American sports at its finest, so certainly an odd pick. But then, fast forward to October. That's when Bad Bunny came out and said, basically, you got to learn Spanish. Remember that? That is when you got a cultural flashpoint moment in the country that really took off around the Super Bowl. And if you think to yourself, well, hold on a second here. If there was some, massive event happening in any other part of the world that was key to that country's culture, and some American came in and said, yeah, you better learn English. Oh, my gosh. Everybody around the world, including many Americans, would be saying, oh, that's such American arrogance, isn't it? Oh, how could we do such a thing? Boy, that's just us thumping our chests as these arrogant Americans that we've always been. But when Bad Bunny does it, and you're like, this is the Super Bowl, man. This is like our celebration of America. It's kind of like the last cultural event that we all celebrate together in this country. Yeah, that's not going to fly. That was the moment that this thing became controversial. It wasn't even when the Bad Bunny announcement was made. It was a couple of weeks after the fact.
I have a sidelight there. Now, you talk about English is one of the most spoken languages in the world. So an American going to another country, it might be a little different. But to that point, many people in the world speak English as a second language, and Bad Bunny doesn't even do that.
Well, apparently not.
That's kind of where I was going. It's like it's one of the most spoken languages in the world, and yet here we are.
He did say, God bless America. I'll give him that much, but that was about it.
And he listed a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe right there at the front. But.
And then fast forward to February 1st, and that is when Bad Bunny came out at the Grammys and made comments about ICE, right? So Bad Bunny over the last few months put himself in the center of this. Kendrick Lamar didn't do that last year. Usher didn't do it. The Weeknd didn't do it. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, none of them did that leading up to their Super Bowl appearance. So Bad Bunny did this to himself, to be very clear. This was not like half of America, more traditional Americans, right of center, conservative, whatever, being like, I don't like this guy. I mean, yeah, part of it was because it wasn't in line with what the Super Bowl has traditionally been. That's true. I get they want to appeal to a global audience. I understand what the NFL was trying to do with the selection. But then it was the guy at the center of it basically thumbing his nose at half of America that made this thing a cultural flashpoint.
All of America. He wasn't going to play in this country.
Well, yeah, that's
right?
true.
That's kind of what did it. None of the other people you mentioned ever said they weren't going to play in this country. And even Beyonce, right? She did one, right?
Yes, she did.
Right?
Yeah.
She had some messages in her little show, too. But she never said, I'm not playing America. I hate Americans.
Never did that. And these were the things that Bad Bunny was kind of baiting Americans into over the last few months. So that's how we got to Sunday. You have to at least be willing to tell the story and lay out all the facts over the last 6 months and what led to an alternate halftime show being an option. If the NFL had done a better job with Bad Bunny and said, listen, man, this might be a little controversial. We've never done a non-English speaker doing the halftime show. It's not like we're all sitting here doing the Macarena like it's 1995 anymore, okay? So this is going to be different for us. Let's just talk about it, okay? Let's just make sure we're on the same page. We don't want to bring unnecessary drama to the conversation. Either they didn't do that, or Bad Bunny didn't care and didn't listen. But that right there is what led to Sunday having two options on the halftime show. And by the way, now the cat's out of the bag. It's not changing. I believe it's going to be like this for the foreseeable future. And honestly, as much as I thought the other halftime show was better than expectations, wasn't great, but better than expectations. I don't like it for America by and large because it's just another thing now that becomes political and it's going to divide us. Well, which halftime show are we watching here at the party today? But the NFL did it to itself, and Bad Bunny lit the whole thing on fire too. 8:34, good morning. Glad you're here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Breaking news, Tom Homan saying the surge operation will conclude in Minneapolis. As soon as we know more on those details, we'll bring it to you here on KCMO Talk Radio. Kevin is in Overland Park. We were just talking about the timeline that led us to the controversy around Bad Bunny, and it goes back to September when the announcement came. In October, he kind of trolls Americans and says, hey, you got to learn Spanish. And then you have comments about not playing in the U.S. And then you have the ICE comments of the Grammys. That's what fired all this up. Kevin, good morning. Go ahead.
Hey, Pete. Yeah, your timeline is awesome. It definitely each moment wasn't something that was better. It just kept making things worse and worse and worse. And I guess, you look at his stage name. It isn't Good Bunny or Friendly Bunny or Nice Bunny. It's Bad Bunny. So we know it's not, he's kind of revealing who he really is. But, and then where he uses the actor to play the kid that supposedly, ICE was detaining and just all that stuff. And it's Jay-Z pushing the buttons, as we know. So, and Goodell allowing them to do it. And it's just, they're losing their audience.
Well, here's the thing, though. They're not. Well, I mean, they did at halftime the other night. You're right. 5 to 10 million, whatever the number was, dropped out during halftime, and that number could grow with more shows and more promotion. But the NFL's betting that they're not losing audience. They're betting that people will complain and not go anywhere. So until they have more proof that people are leaving, it's all just hot air.
I mean, I only stomach Chiefs games when I want to. I don't watch any other games. I didn't watch 1 second of the Super Bowl. Refused to, because I'm tired of the messaging on the sidelines and on the end zones, and it's like I've had enough of it. It's been since 2020. I mean, I really haven't watched that very many games at all.
And let's be honest, Kevin. Thank you. They can't remove the logos or the phrases on the end zone. They just can't do it. They're stuck. I don't even notice them anymore. It doesn't really, I mean, it's silly. How do we end racism? I know what we'll do. We'll put end racism in the end zone of the NFL state. That'll do it. That'll do it. Like, it's just silly. Doesn't really bother me necessarily, but it's just silly. But you know what? It's virtue signaling. Do I still watch the Chiefs religiously? Yes, I do. I root them on, the whole deal. but they're betting that, you know what, people are going to complain, but keep watching football because we are addicted to football in this country. And I will address this too. You know, I mentioned yesterday that I had 3 posts on Facebook about this halftime show since Sunday night. And they generated about up to 1,800 comments. Not impressions, not likes or reactions, comments. That's insane. It's not like I've got, you know, 1 million people on this Facebook page, all right? I mean, it's whatever it is, 10,000 or something, but it's not a big enough page to suggest 2,000 people are going to comment on a single issue. And a lot of it circled around people saying, oh, yeah, but Kid Rock. It was never like, hey, I don't really care for some of these lyrics in these Bad Bunny songs, and here are some examples. And no one ever defended the lyrics because they're indefensible lyrics. Like, they make Eminem blush. It was always like, oh, yeah, but Kid Rock. And let me just take 2 minutes on this, all right? One of the reasons I wasn't a fan of Kid Rock being selected is because, well, I wasn't a big fan of the music, number one. And number two is like, this was billed by Turning Point USA as a faith-based all-American halftime show. And I'm sorry, but that's not Kid Rock. It was basically C-list country music stars, and then Kid Rock showed up, whatever he is. Now, Kid Rock did end up doing a really good performance, as we talked about on Monday, and a cover of Cody Johnson's Till You Can. And he did, you know, incorporate a biblical verse to his remake of Till You Can. And he did incorporate faith into his show to some degree. But listen, when you look at Kid Rock and you see some of what he was putting on social media here, yesterday he was flipping off the haters who criticized what was alleged to be lip syncing. He still has pictures on his Instagram promoting him hanging out with an OnlyFans model without a shirt on. Is that how a Christ follower transformed by the Holy Spirit acts? No, it's not. Now, you can still rejoice in the fact that, yeah, there was a Christ element to what he sang and preached about on Sunday night. And maybe his performance was really about artistically portraying his own or anybody's redemption story. But I'm not seeing the fruits of that in Kid Rock. That's just me. And that was part of the problem that I think a lot of us had in the selection of Kid Rock to begin with. When Turning Point USA said there was going to be a faith focus on the halftime show, and Kid Rock shows up doing the ba with the ba, the ba, da, da, da. It's like, okay, where was that whole part of the show? Now, it exceeded expectations. But when people say, yeah, but Kid Rock, it's fair to say, yeah, they got a point there with that, okay? Now, I still think that they could defend Bad Bunny. None of them defend Bad Bunny. They just say, yeah, but Kid Rock. And that's where I didn't think Turning Point USA really thought this thing through when you talk about having these cultural conversations. You got to also have, like anything else in life, the right people on your side to win the debate, so to speak, or win the argument. And as much as Kid Rock exceeded expectations, and by the way, his voice is much better than I thought it was when he actually sings and isn't quasi-rapping, there still was a lot left on the table there.
It's ba with the ba, ba-dang-a-dang, diggy, said the boogie, set up, jump the boogie. Right? There you go.
Thank you, John. Is that the closest I'm going to get to you singing on the show here?
Well, I'll bust out.
Okay.
My name is Kid Rock.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go. Mark, you got competition in the other side of the glass there, big man. Jeez.
I can't compete with that.
I don't know.
Oh, we have some major throwdowns here off the mic.
I should. Oh, boy.
Big wrap-offs.
That's post-show content right there. I love that. Here, I thought Mark was our only singer as the guy who leads his church band, but now we know we got two on the other side of the glass. How about, did you ever introduce Kid Rock on the radio, John, back in your heyday?
Played some Kid Rock songs.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which station? Do you remember? I mean, you've worked at all of them in town.
Let's see. Would have been on Jack and probably EFM,
okay.
I think. Yeah.
All right. There you go. I like that. I like that. Well, I won't make you do that here, okay? That's my promise to you. I will not make you introduce or talk over a Kid Rock intro. Won't do that to you on KCMO.
I'll sing along, man.
Yeah.
Ball with the ball,
All right. That's good.
Boogie, up
That's
jump
plenty.
the boogie.
That's plenty. That's plenty. That's plenty. I'm going to send you out with the protesters at Shawnee Mission North from yesterday. They were singing and chanting away on Johnson Drive. Unbelievable.